Hello people, you're welcome to another episode of the Minority Report. I'm Chidozie.
And I'm Walter.
Today we are going to be talking about something that's really exasperating and ridiculous. There is this tendency, whenever there are conversations about misogyny, you'd find, random cavemen jump out and go on about...
Especially when, words like feminism are trending in this
feminism is a trigger word. Jump out and go on about how misandry is the thing and how, feminists are men haters and all of those things. And I would say it's manifestly ludicrous, but apparently that it's happening means that not everybody gets it. Not everybody gets that misogyny is a systemic thing. Yes, a woman can be man-hating. She can be prejudiced against men. But then there is no structural or systemic power behind that.
Yeah, it doesn't have an agency behind it. There is nothing that it's not institutionalized.
Yeah.
There is no power behind a woman. A woman hating a man is an individual thing. But the subjugation of women, the sexism against women, the power is already woven into the fabric of society.
In constitution,
it's in laws. In fact,
it permeates every aspect of society.
Like you don't get a senator can wake up tomorrow and decide to marry a 12-year-old girl,
and it's not a problem.
It's not a problem. But it's just when you get, it's not even heard of to find a 40-year-old woman getting married to a 12-year-old boy. That's just ridiculous. When people talk about it, there are recriminations against the woman. It's not something like. The point here is, when you keep interrupting feminist conversations with all these men too.
Not all men.
Women do to men too conversations. When you want to draw parallels between how the misogyny, how the subjugation of women by men is equal to subjugation of men by women, it's very, very disingenuous, and it speaks.
And it's also being complicit in the same thing you're saying. Not, I mean, it's also being complicit. There's a system here that privileges men in comparison to women. And then women are saying, enough, okay, this is unfair. And then you're coming out of nowhere to say, to tell them to be comfortable with that subjugation. That is exactly being complicit in misogyny.
And it is worrying because, okay, if you do say, I don't understand how you want to silence the conversation about the subjugation of women by pointing out that men go through the same thing. I don't get that. How does that? Because
it then cancels each other.
Because I find it odd. Like if it's supposed to cancel each other, why do the women have to talk? Why do women have to point out the issues that they are going through? If they cancel each other out, why are men still in the position of elevation against women? I was on Twitter the other day and I saw a series of tweets that Ayush Ogoro was tweeting, where he was trying to point out the falsehood of
the false equivalency
between misandry and misogyny. And he pointed out something that was a very, very, very valid instance. Is in an instance where a man is out with 4 women, and against where a woman is out with 4 guys. Now, in that garden where there's 1 woman and 4 guys, if one man tells the girl, we are not at the end of the night, you're not going to go, I'm not going to allow you to go home this night. Now, in that same situation, now the man is in midst of 4 girls, and one of the girls says, at the end of tonight, I'm not going to allow you to go home tonight.
It's going to be dismissed as a joke.
There is a tendency, in the case of the woman with 4 men, she will pause. She will want to. There's apprehension there already. Then she's going to want to start calculating the seriousness. If this is a joke, if it's not a joke, how is she going to get out of it? Like, there is an apprehension that comes around being in a situation where a man has told you, I'm not going to allow you to go home tonight. But then when you come to a man with 4 women, there's the instant dismissal of it as ridiculous.
Which speaks to the power imbalance between men and women.
And women,
And
he's not going to pause. He's going to laugh about it. He's not going to pause and consider the risk of a woman telling you. I think in some instances he might even say, you know what, sure, I'm good for it. Let's go. That kind of thing. So it's very, very disingenuous to try to draw a parallel between the power men have over women, with the power women have over men. That is even weird.
Like, it's weird
because saying the words that women have power over men, it's just not something. It's not a societal.
I'm saying that comes from a lack of understanding of systemic violence, because when a woman, for example, is in a situation like the example you give with a man, there are a lot of things that come into play, because there's the question of credibility. If you come out and you talk about being raped or being sexually assaulted, what were you doing there with 4 men? And that kind of stuff. Those are things that will not come into play
when a man.
Yes.
No.
Like what happened with Ariana Grande at Aretha Franklin's funeral. Right there live. This was a live telecast. It wasn't something that happened in Harvey Weinstein's bedroom. We saw it live. But people, after seeing what they saw, this pastor groping her on the pulpit, people were still saying, she caught it on herself because she was wearing a short dress, that talking about how she was a powerful woman. Why did she not react?
The fact that now that the fact that she's not saying anything, she must be okay with it. Like all these agencies,
and that's the thing. Like the system always puts women on trial. The onus is never on the man to do better.
No.
It's always
it
the
doesn't
woman.
even matter. That's the funny thing about that. This was something that was telecast. This was something we could see. Now, imagine. But
that's how the patriarchy was.
Imagine
people are telling you to deny what you own, what you saw
you
with your
see.
2 eyes.
Now, imagine if this was something that happened in private and the woman was molested, and she now had to come out and say, "I was molested." Like, it doesn't even matter. Seeing it or not seeing it, if the woman is still put on trial.
Even the people who were harping on what Ariana said or didn't see, on whether or not she gave a statement, if she had harped too much on it or talked too much about it, it would have been a case of she finding a moment with it, trying to get some sort of spotlight out of it. Like, the point is, if you're a woman in a society, you just cannot win. And that is what misogyny is. That's how the patriarchy works. Manhood is always above reproach. Men are always above reproach. You're a rapist,
and
you do whatever.
There's also like misogyny has an agency that's in the subjugation of women takes away a woman's autonomy over her body.
Yeah.
You get, and that is not. You don't get a system that puts the autonomy of manhood in the possession of a woman.
Yeah.
You don't get a system where a woman makes a decision about a man's sexuality or expression of self. You don't get a situation. The woman does not have that. Does not have that power over the man's expression of self, expression of sexuality. But a woman is expected to be in. The autonomy is taken away and put in the position of the man, and that is also evident in that situation with Ariana Grande and that bishop, where he was groping her. I mean, it was just so sickeningly obvious.
Yeah.
His hand was where it wasn't supposed to be, and he kept
reaching.
And if you watch the video, you would see that she was always trying to pull back. There was this. The body language was very stark. It was obvious there that she was
very
someone who was uncomfortable there, but could not move away, could not pull herself away because, well.
And it's also interesting in this instance is that, okay, even when a man comes up and says he has been sexually assaulted, like we saw with Terry Crews, nobody ever asked, what were you wearing? What you are wearing is never in question. And the point is, culturally, men cannot be objectified.
A woman.
Because everything, the patriarchy is about men.
Somebody on Twitter, for heaven's sake, said that she deserved what she got because she was dressed unprofessionally. That's the word she used. Unprofessionally. And people were attacking her, were like, I'm sorry, she's a singer. If you're going to bring in the issue of her profession, that
her dress
is her profession.
Come in at all. what she wears,
what she's wearing,
she's
that
not
is actually
even coming at all. What she wears is not an.
She's not a company exec.
Exactly.
You don't expect her to wear a suit and.
Even if she were a company exec, she's not a piece in the museum. She is a full-fledged human being with full-fledged body autonomy. You know, she has the right to express herself any which way she pleases.
And I also find it it's a very laughable thing, because every man I know who pushes this agenda of men to, or tries to draw this parallel between misandry and misogyny, they're not really doing it because they want to draw any attention to how powerless men are, how men suffer too. They are using it to silence the conversation of feminism. It's just as basic as that. And then it makes you wonder, like, it makes you, because it turns out that when you are the art of wanting to silence feminism shows that you are benefiting from the power structure that
of course,
you know, because and you're benefiting from it, and you do not see any reason for it to stop.
For example, it's always interesting when men would say things like, you know, why are women always complaining about some of these outdated practices when it comes to traditional marriage? That's we are the ones who are tasked to bring this and bring that and bring that. But these are the same people who still insist on those traditions because they know it gives them a leg up. There's a part at this marriage, there's an instant power imbalance that tips in their favor. So it gives them a leg up that it doesn't give the woman.
When you now start you know, asserting your rights at the head of the family, you can now point out to how you paid I paid for you after all,
chattel.
You know, so you get, so it's very very interesting, really, because it comes to light that the fight to diminish feminism, or diminish the voice of a woman who's expressing her discontentment with the structure that subjugates her, is very very disingenuous and very very insincere. It doesn't, because at the end of the day, feminism is about putting an equivalence in how society treats men and women. And if you are really interested in men being in a position of recognition, if you're really interested in men being not suffering any subjugation, you would support feminism, because it actually fights to put women in a position where they relieve the stress that society places on men.
But that's the point. But men need that stress because, you know, it gives them an outsized amount of power in relation to women. So, you know, feminism, yes, is great for everyone. This is obvious. So the fact that some people are pushing against it points to the fact that a lot of men need these structures. They need to feel better than somebody. They need somebody to be subjugated so that they can feel elevated. And that is what, you know, feeds the backlash against feminism. Masculinity and femininity are both, they are performative. And it's stressful. A man, you cannot cry. A woman, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. The point of feminism is to let everybody be exactly who they are, to grow at their own pace, to, you know, to have the same access to opportunities, not be stifled at any turn. But then, clearly, some people need these roadblocks to exist for certain people so that they can have a leg up. And that is the problem. We cannot have an equitable society without feminism, without, you know, equal rights for everybody.
It's baffling, because back to Chimamanda said something about how you know, we shouldn't. She made a speech when she was at Chatham House, and she said something about the autonomy of a woman's body. How the autonomy, the woman having an autonomy over herself, should be about her and not in relation to, not a reflection of a man. You get? And we are structured in a society that sees a woman, a woman's expression of self as reflective of how a man sees her. Again, and it's ridiculous. I mean, a while back, Tyson Beckford had came online where Kim Kardashian her picture was posted, and he said something about how he does not fancy her
and how her hips were,
slammed
and
her
the
body,
doctor, the cosmetic surgeon, fucked up on one of her hips.
And it's just it's amusing because like she didn't dress to come out of her house because she needed,
which was really disgusting because his rant, the entire point of his rant was that the fact that he did not find her attractive, physically attractive, is somehow a defect.
It's not a problem that she should have had. Exactly. She should have stepped out of her house, considering the fact that there's for somewhere to find her attractive,
which is just completely ludicrous.
It's ludicrous. So it's very bothersome when you have men who should be having actual conversations where you like separate even. Like I keep saying this, if you want to have a conversation about the men being in a position where they are to be considered, even though the society already considers them. But when you want to have such conversations, let it not be an interruption.
You cannot even have that conversation.
Let it not be an interruption.
Framed in that way, in such a way that men say, because there's already a power imbalance. So if we are going to move towards an equitable society, the focus should be on women. Where are the hindrances that they have to face? Where are men privileged in the way that to get things that they don't work for, that they don't earn?
Yeah,
to level the playing field.
It cannot be an interruption of the conversations women are having.
Yes.
You get women talking about pregnancy troubles, and you come and tell them to shut up because pregnancy is a joy. You should not talk about that. I mean, you should own it. You're a mother. You should do this. Yes. You get where women are talking about
coming from men that have been in labor 6 times.
I mean, you get situations where women are talking about the culture of not kneeling down, and then you get to start blowing up with men telling you, like talking about culture. This culture thing is just. It's a very, very, very aggravating thing, especially because it is something that only comes up when you need it to beat at someone.
Exactly.
It is not really. Culture always comes up when you have to beat someone into submission, and it makes you wonder why you feel, what kind of power it is that comes with making someone else keep quiet, making someone else be silent, with making someone else be face a suffering and bear it. What kind of power is that needs you to be powerful when someone else is shriveled? It's
and then also promises violence at women attempt to where they express themselves, because it's always really interesting to me that, like, when I was reading the comments online yesterday, particularly on Instablog Nigeria, like most of the commentators on Instablog Nigeria, I have to say, are animals. I really don't know. Like, having somebody grow Ariana, a man twice her age, grow Ariana on stage, this justification of it as being a natural outcome, a punishment for having dressed in the way that she did. It's always baffling to me.
This guy, and then people who say this, Mike Coulter.
People who say this then deny the existence of systemic violence. What else does systemic violence look like?
Let me tell you something. This guy, in fact, it's making me give that Netflix that show Luke Cage one a side eye. The guy who acted Luke Cage, Mike Coulter.
Yeah.
Instinctively, immediately after the post came up, when Trevor Noah tweeted, "What is this man's hands doing there?" Trevor Noah tweeted it.
Yeah.
Mike Coulter retweeted it with a comment, something about how the man is shooting his shots, no fucks given. It was
what?
Yes, that tweet exploded. He swiftly deleted it, but screen grabs are forever, just like diamonds. So people screen grabbed it and were sharing it around. And then he comes later to apologize that he didn't mean that. He actually meant that to be
something like that. Yeah, to be sarcastic.
He meant that people
he had a long day at work.
And I'm thinking,
what rubbish?
Why was your
first of all, he needs to fire his publicist, because that's a stupid ass excuse to give.
A very, very stupid one. Like, I don't. How is it something that obvious and you think it is a man shooting his shots?
The way we normalize
it's sort of excuse, and when he said
violence.
no fucks given, onto, oh yes, I am doing it and it must happen. Like, why is that so? Why is the
that right
of a
there
woman's
is
affection?
the toxic idea of masculinity that is constantly being reinforced. You're a man, you grab her by the pussy. That's what men do. It's all really disgusting, and we need to do better. And Please.
It can't be said enough. For a society to change, people have to start interrogating themselves on the things
and their privileges.
And the things they like. The
and
things
the ways in
that
which they're
make you
complicit in these
comfortable.
problems.
The things, the system, the things that have been put in place in the system, in the society, in the fabric of society, and makes you comfortable, but makes another person not so comfortable. It is something you need to interrogate. You don't, and most often, women are not even supposed to be the ones who are belabored with this responsibility of talking about this. Men should get involved.
Yes.
Men should talk about
if
this.
you need somebody,
men should join in taking down these structures that enable women to be equitable.
Yeah,
in
because the truth is, if you need somebody to kneel so that you can be taught, you are a problem.
A big problem.
So this is something that men need to own up to, whether you are aware of it or not, whether you are, actively putting some woman down. By default, you are complicit in misogyny. So it is, that's like I keep telling people, like conversation we're having yesterday, the only should always, in this sort of instances, the only should always be on men. Don't come and ask me what Ariana Grande said or didn't say, what she did or didn't do. Men teach boys to do better, rather than emphasize on women teaching girls to protect themselves in these uncomfortable situations where we are being sexually harassed. Men teach boys to do better. Teach boys to respect a woman's body and the autonomy.
That whole phrase, boys will be boys, should be so yesterday. We should it should never have existed in the first place. Throw it and just toss it away, like incinerate it or something. Boys shouldn't always be boys. That excuse is
boys should be boys. That's fine, but that definition of boy has to change. Like boys, it's always used as an excuse that boys will always be boys.
It's never used. Yes, when it's not generic. It's used to excuse bad behavior in men. So that's the only time it comes up, and so you should stop. We should stop excusing bad behavior as boys being boys.
Boyhood, women, manhood, masculinity, it all needs to be redefined.
Yeah.
As what it means to be female is also redefined, and that is what I guess that's what people balk at, because change is always hard, but it's going to happen. If not in our generation, you will die. And your children, that's the truth about the whole matter.
A time will come when these conversations will be obsolete, because we must, unless the Christian God comes tomorrow, we must.
And
this change must happen.
Yes, and the point is
because there was a time when things were so bad, when the structure was so in place that men were just the all-knowing, the all-seeing, all-being, and women were coming up second.
You need your husband to get a driver's license. You need your husband to
do a lot of things. So
you need a husband to.
People who keep saying, like one guy said on Facebook the other day, that even God frowns on feminism. I'm like, goodness me, really?
But that's not a shock, really. I mean, it's not a shock. The Christian God is misogynistic. In fact, all the gods of most of the Abrahamic gods are all misogynistic.
They are fashioned by men.
Exactly.
Christian God was fashioned by
the creation of
a man.
Men.
Anyway, this is where we're going to wrap this up. Let us get carried away. So yeah. At the end of the day, this. I think this basically should be our slogan on this show. We should do better. We should do better. But yes, we should do better. As a society, as individuals, we need to do better. We need to interrogate ourselves and our prejudices and our privileges.
Yeah.
We should do better.
So until coming away next time, I'm Chidozie.
And I'm Walter.
Bye.